Because this is all a holy line, isn't it? It's all a holy line, right up to Noah. It's a holy line of Seth. Yeah? They're of God, they're children of God, up until this stage. The sons of God, or these children of God, from chapter 5, Seth's descendants, and their descendants, and their descendants, saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and so they picked for themselves women whomever they pleased. They basically left their rightful place in the presence of God and chased these women. Who were these women? These daughters of men. They were the children of the first pre-Adamics, who were told by God, yeah, go forth and multiply, increase. And so wherever they went, right, because they completely forgot about through Genesis 2 to 5, completely forgot about, right? Forgotten about. Not mentioned. Up until Genesis 6. So these are the daughters of these Neanderthals, these pre-Adamic, these prehistoric pre-Adamics, pre-Adams. These are the daughters of these pre-Adams. So when you look in the museum and you see all these ugly looking hairy cave women, don't believe it. It's an artist's impression. It's possibly not what they really look like, according to the scriptures here. They must have been beautiful, they're attractive, right? So we saw a funny the other day where a guy took his wife to a therapist and he's like, whoa, you even had the cojones to walk down the street with that? Because she was really yeah, and all this stuff. You actually had feelings for that? It was a what do you call them? I think it was Dick Emery, the Dick Emery show, a comedian, British comedian. He was doing a skit on this guy with this woman. He goes, "Oh, I want to get a divorce from my wife because," he says, "Yeah, I don't blame you, because she's like hideous." So yeah, those ones in the museum, yeah, they're artist impression, depiction. They may not have looked like that at all, especially according to Genesis 6 here. They were beautiful, so. Well, I doubt if they were of that holy line up here until Noah's line, right? It was odd ones that might have like wandered off, did their own thing. There's always that possibility. But here it seems to be hinting at there was this holy line, and then these children of God, those ones who called upon the name of God, that in His presence, praying and all that sort of stuff, really worshipping Him. They saw that they were hot, so they basically left their positions and abandoned them and chased after these women, got them, married them, and had children to them, descendants, etc. And the Lord said, my spirit does not reside in the human being forever. Let's have a look at the footnote here. (631) literal Aramaic idiom or expression to the end of the universe. It won't always be with man. Right? It won't always remain in man, because man is very wicked, unrighteous, perverse, and so forth in his ways. Because he is flesh. He's not spirit, he's flesh. He's of the flesh. Of the lusts, of the desires, of the perversions. And his lifespan became 120 years. So that's probably about how long they had before this flood. Yeah, maybe. 6:3-2. Okay, because he is flesh, and his lifespan became 120 years. That's probably how long he'd last for, before the flood came, say, before this particular era or age came. That's how long he's going to live for, maybe. And they were giants in the earth. So these former sons of God went with the unrighteous. Okay? Human beings, so they're all related. So they're probably, something's not right there. DNA's too close, blood's too close, they're too closely related, something like that. And they had these problems. Okay? They would have these problems coming out from that. Okay, so they were giants in the earth in those ages, and even later, because the sons of God entered upon the daughters of men. So that's what it's from. It's not the watchers. It's none of this Gnostic baloney, hoo-ha, hoo-ha, rubbish, right? It's none of that. In these ages, in those ages, in that era, okay, those eons that followed, and even later, okay, because the sons of God, these children of God from chapter 5, Seth's descendants, entered upon the daughters of men. They got with them. They married with them. They interloped with them. They had intercourse with them. And they produced these children. And there was born to them aliens, not little green men or ETs or anything like that. It's not saying that. Who were giants of universal fame. So these were probably those giants, you hear about in the Greek myths, etc., etc. We actually came across, because there's a lot of people out there say, oh, it's a Nephilim, all that sort of stuff, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. We actually came across a word, a definition of Nephilim once, and we can never find it again, which said ogres. So it mentions Shrek, like Shrek, but they're not green. They're massive, powerful, wicked freaks, giants, strange creatures. It's got down here in 4, okay, it's Genesis 4, Operita 4, 6:4. In the footnotes, 6413, literal Aramaic idiom or expression, strange creatures, hybrid forms, monstrously large, Neanderthals. We wouldn't say Neanderthals because, as we said earlier, the Neanderthals were basically discovered in the Neander Valley in Germany around 1944-45. Okay, not by a guy called Neander, but just found in that particular valley, the prehistoric bones, etc., etc. So, these are the ones who would have been like, powerful, had a lot of fame behind them because they could do this, they could do that. The giants of universal or worldly fame. The ones that were in myths, Greek myths that followed, etc., etc. Giants like that, ogres. And the Lord saw that men's evil spread on the earth, or that particular area, right? Landmass, and every dissipation of the heart's excuses became worse with every age. So every era, it's got worse and worse and worse. So it's like anything can go, anything went. No one stopped them. There's no police. There's nothing. Nobody can stop them. If they want to do this, they'll do it. If they want to do that, they'll do it. If they want to do this, that, they'll do it. Unlike today, where you have legislation, you have laws. Some people try to do it, they get done for it once they get caught. Some others, in the elite, in the powers, they try to do that as well until they get revealed. But in that era, there's nobody there to say, hey, cut it out, it's wrong. Or nobody would listen. If Noah stepped up, jumped up and said, hey, just out of the way, old man, get out of the way, old man. And they'll be doing it, Just imagine what they would get up to. There's no one to stop them. I just hit this guy in the head with a club because he looked at me funny, or he smiled. Stupid stuff like that. Or I just take that from him and that from him, and just all out anarchy. And the Lord sighed over his creation of Adam on the earth, and there were reservations in his heart, in his mind. He's like, wow, it came to this? It really upset him, right? And the Lord said, I will wipe out the men I have created from the face of the earth. So is he specifically saying all? So look at 6:7. 671, literal Aramaic idiom, human beings. Yes, I will wipe out the men I have created from the face of the earth, from the human beings to the four-legged animals. So it's just, that's it. Start again. From the crawlers to the birds of the sky, because he regretted having created them. In the Aramaic, it's saying 672, literal Aramaic expression, sighed over. He was so saddened over it. That's what it means in that Eastern mindset. And Noah found mercy in the eyes of the Lord, because he was considered righteous by God. And this is the birth of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, and his seed, his descendants, were wholesome. And the footnotes it has down here, 6:9, literal Aramaic idiomatic figure of speech. Grains. Well, we all know what seed is in men, right? So, yeah, that'll mean his descendants. Okay. Was wholesome, and Noah worshipped God. And to Noah were born 3 sons. So he's completely righteous. So if he had children, they'd come out pretty much with God in mind. They'll be holy, etc., etc. And to Noah were born 3 sons. Well, they're not going to be like those other ones that are like totally anarchists, right? Just going hard, doing everything they want to do. No one to stop them. And so Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And the earth went mad before God. They're just insane. They're just doing all these crazy things. No one to stop them, right? And the earth became full of abominations. Just everything sick and depraved. And God saw the earth's madness as all flesh, except for Noah and his sons and their wives, and Noah's wife, had lost its direction toward him on earth, towards God. They'd like turned their back on him. And the Lord said, all flesh has gone mad before me, because the earth has been filled by abomination before them. So the old devil, the old serpent was, he got one over God, rubbing his hands in delight. Behold, I will abandon them to their madness together with the earth. So you just leave them to do what they're going to do. They're doing, right? Okay? And he says to Noah, make yourself an ark of wood from the root with curved chambers providing strength, and seal it from the outside and the inside with tar. And thus make the length of the ark 300 arm lengths, and its width 50 arm lengths, and its height 30 arm lengths. And thus make ports for the ark, and put a roof over it from above, and make the entrance to the ark in the middle for the lower deck, the second deck, and the third deck. And I, behold, or look, I shall bring a deluge, or great flood of water, over the face of the earth to undo every form of living flesh under the sky, and so that everyone on earth is drowned. And I shall make my stand with you. Say, probably a covenant. Oh, let's go down here. 6:18 Aramaic idiomatic expression. Stand my standing with you. So God will stand by and we'll be with him. And I shall make my stand with you, and you shall enter into the ark, you and your children and your wife. So it's 3 sons and their wives and his wife, and the woman of his sons with you. Okay, so yeah, his sons, their wives, Noah and his wife. And from all the living, from all the flesh, bring inside the ark 2 of each, to live with you. They shall be male and female. So 6:19 it's got here, literal Aramaic idiomatic expression, tutu, as in TWO, TWA, not tutu as in, the tutu you dance around in. pink tutu. And you take the produce from each as food to eat, and have them as pets for company, and take provisions so there will be for you and for them food to eat. So there might be a certain number that fits into the ark. It may not have been 2 elephants, 2 horses, 2 monkeys, 2 this, 2 that, 2 that. Too many animals sink the ship. It might have just been a few. Okay? So basically you had a few pets for company. And take provisions so there will be for you and for them food to eat. Because imagine if you had all the animals in the world on this ark, elephants, buffaloes, dinosaurs, whatever. They get pretty heavy and it'll probably sink. Okay? Then they've got to poop everywhere, you've got to feed them, they've got to poop everywhere, someone's got to clean it up, you've got to have all that food, so it makes it very difficult. So here it's probably a few, yeah, as pets. Take some in there with you, male and female, as pets, for company. So Noah does everything that God commanded him, exactly as he commanded him. Again, you got Brito Jesus 7, which goes through all the ark here. Okay, so 2 by 2. Maybe there's actually more than just pets. Maybe it's got here in that age, with that era, Eon, Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth, the son of Noah, and the wife of Noah, and the 3 women of his sons, entered with Noah into the ark. They and all the creatures according to their kind, all the animals according to their kind, and every 4-legged animal that crawled the earth according to their kind, and every bird according to its kind, and every sparrow and tiny bird. They entered with Noah into the ark, 2 by 2 of every flesh that possessed the breath of life. And there those that entered were male and female of every flesh that entered, as God had commanded, and the Lord God secured them inside. So if there's a top deck, a second deck, and a middle deck, there will be so much animals on each level. That's what it's probably indicating. If there's 3 decks, you couldn't fit all the animals on there. I doubt that, right? That's why it's just got 3 decks: top, middle, and lower. They entered with Noah into the ark, 2 by 2 of every flesh that possessed the breath of life, and so forth. And then there was a flood for 40 days on the earth, and the water swelled and lifted the ark, and it floated above the earth. So it possibly wasn't a worldwide flood, it was just that particular area. Because why flood everywhere if there's nobody in Australia or New Zealand? Nobody had migrated there yet. And all the people are in that particular Middle Eastern area. We have a book, the history of the world, the timetables of history by Bernard Gruen, around somewhere, and it says on page 3, column B or something like that, disastrous floods in Mesopotamian region. So that could have been the flood, confined to there. And also, we recall Victor N. Alexander saying that, yeah, there's floods in the Mesopotamian area, not worldwide. World in the sense is that particular landmass where all these people were occupying it, right? That's what it's basically talking about. That's what it's specifically talking about. Yeah, according to the Mesopotamian historical records, there were disastrous floods in Mesopotamia, not the whole world. So you probably have the scientific rendering, which is, okay, the world was flooded because maybe some asteroid or meteorite came from outer space, hit the earth, caused a tidal wave, which caused earthquakes, volcanic action, eruptions, etc., like that, and then killed off the dinosaurs, all that sort of stuff. You'd have to look at They're both of them, both accounts. Okay, in the history of Mesopotamia, the records to see what we're saying is actually true. There's more to it than just saying, yeah, there was a massive flood and it killed everybody around the world. Well, that's a bit silly because it probably wasn't anybody way down there in Australia and New Zealand, especially Aborigines. Apparently, it didn't take them 600 or 6,000 years to get there. Apparently, it took them 600,000 or 60,000 or something like that, according to this archaeologist that looked at the carvings and all this sort of stuff and come to the conclusion, yeah, it took them about 60,000 years to walk from Europe and end up where they are now in Australia, etc. And then the Aborigines probably jumped over to New Zealand somewhere, Bay of Plenty, that sort of area, and were living there for so long, and maybe these Maori from Hawaii came along and lived there as well. Get to check out the histories to verify that's what we've done. Okay, so eventually, whoever had the living breath of life in their nostrils from all the dry lands died. And so anybody that was on that land when the flood came, they all died, and everything that stood over the surface of the earth disappeared, from the human being to the animals, the crawlers, the birds of the sky. They all disappeared from the earth, and only Noah and those with him in the ark remained, and the waters covered the earth completely for 150 days. That's the earth that the Son of God had made, this particular landmass. It's not saying the whole world. Yeah, it's only the world that they know of at that particular time. It's like when the Romans attacked different lands, etc., etc. They didn't rule the whole world, they only ruled certain parts of it. And they only knew about certain parts of the world that had been conquered, written about, etc., say by the Greeks, by the Romans, etc., through wars, skirmishes and whatever. They had no idea, there's a place way down the bottom there, it's called whatever that is, way down the bottom, and that one there. No,